not using our intelligence, not using our common sense, that's called dumb.
You had a blunt analysis of what our policy should be fighting terrorism. You write that, quote, "The current therapeutic approach to national security is dangerous. I'm not just interested in empathizing with the grievances of our sworn enemies. Let's figure out where they're vulnerable and destroy them." Why is it that our Attorney General, Secretary of Homeland Security, and even our President Barack Obama are not that straightforward about fighting terrorists?
Well, I think it starts in a worldview. Remember when they asked this president about American exceptionalism, remember what he said? He said, well, sure, I think my country is special. I'm sure people in other countries think their countries are special. He even went abroad and declared himself to be a citizen of the world. I don't get that. If you ask me that question, I'll tell you we live in the greatest country in the history of the world, period. And by the way, the world is safer when America is stronger. You look at how they have fought the war on terrorism. They're reading Miranda rights to the underwear bomber. They're going to civilian trials for terrorists. You think about this. We've been lucky with the bombs, the Times Square bomb, the underwear bomber. You look at the packages. Being lucky is not a strategy. The reality is we've been playing defense instead of playing offense. We need to understand that this isn't about appeasement. This isn't about the president going overseas and making apologies for America. We need to understand abandoning Israel is not going to appease our enemies. We need to understand we can't simply give to them land or money. He has written before, he thinks that the root cause of so many of these conflicts are in the lack of economic development and social justice. It almost sounds like a treatise on social justice, that we just need to give these poor people more money and they'll have there'll be more opportunities, there'll be less violence, less terrorism. His own Department of Homeland Security, they prefer to call it man-made events. You listen to the language, they don't seem to like calling it Islamic terrorism, which is what it is. That's the enemy we're fighting. Let's understand what's at stake here. This is a group of people that hates our way of life, hates our freedoms, hates what we're about. America has saved the world now. This is the third time we've been called to do this in modern history. The first time was in World War II against fascism. We had allies, but we led the effort, and thank God for America. The second time was during the Cold War under President Reagan. We fought back the forces of the evil empire and communism. You remember, the skeptics thought that President Reagan shouldn't use that rhetoric. They said, let's contain them. Let's just coexist with them. Let's just make concessions to them. Now we have a third challenge. The free world is fighting and facing the threat of fundamental Islamic terrorism, and that's exactly what it is. And just like those previous two conflicts, this is a fight based not on appeasement or making apologies for America and not even giving money in economic development. This is a fight for our way of life. And the only way we win this fight is by going on the offense, not playing defense. It's one of the reasons you see this outrage. You see this outrage among average Americans about TSA and their rules and their procedures. Let's stop being politically correct. We know who's more likely to cause and pose a threat to America. Why in the world do we have TSA examiners that are groping 6-year-old children flying home to see grandma for the holidays? Why in the world are we acting like we don't have intelligence assets and common sense? Not using our intelligence, not using our common sense, that's called dumb. This is a dumb strategy that we're pursuing. Let's stop playing defense. Let's go on offense. And I meant exactly what I wrote. Let's root out these networks. Let's kill these terrorists. Let's understand what's at stake. They know what they want to accomplish. They hate our way of life. Let's make sure we understand let's make sure we prove through our actions that we understand what's at stake here as well.